Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in our first ever virtual social distancing email campaign here at Henry & Son. My name is Jill Mott, and I wanted to bring to you one of my favorite producers from northeastern Italy, very close to Verona and west of Venice, as all things are in Italy. A producer, Angiolino Maule, who was a pizza maker long before he was a winemaker, ironically enough, but I'll get into that in a moment. We're in the heart of Valpolicella country, for those of you who drink red wines, Soave country, for those of you who drink white wines, and this little area called Gambellara is quite unknown outside of Italy, I would say, for the majority of drinkers of white wine here in the States. And the main grape there that Angiolino works with is called Garganega, or Garganega, depending on if you're Italian or if you're fake speaking Italian like I am right now. Anyway, Angiolino he's been working with Garganega for well over a decade. He's been making wines in a natural vein before it was the cool thing to do. Biodynamic farming, tilling his own soils, making wines with a native indigenous yeast fermentation, not filtering his wines, and adding as little sulfur as possible, in some cases no sulfur, to a lot of his wines, which is really quite something. Garganega has been known in this area since at least the 13th century, which is pretty awesome. So it's really found its spiritual home there. You don't really find it in many other places. And I wanted to point out to you a few favorites that he makes. So Massieri is his Garganega that is done with no skin contact, but if you were to taste it blind, you'd almost swear it had some skin contact. It's got this like notes of poached pears and even poached a little bit like almonds and poached stone fruits. The thing is instead of it being ripe and hot and full-bodied, it's dry, medium-bodied. The volcanic soils here that dominate keep all that fruit in kind of a tight package. So very bright, but when you smell it, you can tell that it's going to have a substantial amount of really cool textures. This is one of my favorite wines. We also have it in a Magnum from a couple vintages before this one. That's a 2015. This is a 2013 Magnum. Some people say, wow, I need to invite a whole household over to drink a Magnum. You really don't. I can finish a Magnum in a week, no problem. A Magnum is only 2 bottles of wine. And what's great about everything on the table, it tastes as great on day 2 and day 3 as it does on day 1, which is really quite something. On to the red. So I've got the Rosso Massieri. This is Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. You may be asking, why Cabernet and Merlot in Verona and the Veneto? Because Cabernet and Merlot are like weeds. They grow everywhere. I'm surprised they're not growing in Antarctica now, for that matter. But anyway, his Cabernet is beautiful, his Cabernet Merlot blend, because it's not as large and in charge and sweet brambly fruit like it can be in California, and it's not as tobacco, cigar-y, plummy like it can be in Bordeaux. It's like right there in the middle, really pretty, dry, medium-bodied, beautifully incorporated tannins that are just a little bit rustic, like a really great Chianti or a really good Brunello. It's all done in stainless steel, just like the white, to kind of maintain the fruit. But again, those volcanic soils really keep the wine in check, which is really great. This next wine that I want to talk to you about, Passito Montessorio. This is a real treat, and I know a lot of folks out there say, I don't like sweet wine. I don't like sweets. You'll love this, trust me. We all put honey on our toast, and we put jam on our toast, and we like a little ice cream here and there. This doesn't need anything sweet along with it. This is the show. Some nuts on the side, a great blue cheese or a great hard cheese with some crackers. How this wine is made is just, I can't believe it's as inexpensive as it is. This wine, they harvest grapes in the fall, winter, and they're hanging on a ceiling, basically, virtually raisined grapes. The fermentation takes, after the wine is pressed, it's a whole long story that I won't bore you with here of how the wine is made, how the sugars win the battle. They need to bring the wine back inside to warm it up to keep the fermentation going. But in any event, it's aged in small barrels aged for years in those barrels, and then it's bottled, and you're left with this elixir that is drinks like 24 karat gold, and like if carrots were sweet, and sultanas, and which basically they were, right, golden raisins and dried peaches, and it's if there was a nectar from the gods from Verona, it would be this. We only have a handful of bottles in stock, but I love it. Last but not least is the Garganega. And the Garganega is an incredible frizzante wine. It's not a pet nat though. He's taking Garganega, he's fermenting it in acacia, which is really awesome because acacia doesn't make a wine taste like oak does. It doesn't give it all those vanilla esters, but it gives it a little bit of texture and a little bit of tannin, and really lets the Garganega come through. After it's dry, he bottles it and he puts a little bit of must or grape juice from Garganega in the bottle to start another fermentation. So it's almost like a champagne is made, but it doesn't have that full-on effervescence like a champagne does, but it definitely does have some bubbles. This is done with hardly any sulfur added. It's got some beautiful floaties, and to me, this is such a fun wine. We're one of very few people in our market to have all of these wines, but especially the Garganega. That smells like pure Garganega, like a little bit of yeast, some cidery notes that's very common, some pear cider notes that's very common in natural wines such as this. And that just hint of the smallest hint of wood that is actually a lot more refined than I could have ever imagined. I love tasting this wine. So join in, drink the wines, order the wines, hold on to them for days after they're open. They're really fun. I had this Garganega about a year or so ago, and I cracked it open. I drank a glass, and I enjoyed a glass for 6 days straight until it was virtually still. And they'll change what you think wines from northern Italy can be. Cheers.